Hello, everybody. This is Mike from MBoxWave.com, and I just got into a long position on this morning's Emini NASDAQ. I saw a good setup. Actually, to me, it looks like a textbook setup. So, wanted to record it, and we'll see what happens, and go over the analysis as well. Markets opened. Right now it's almost an hour since markets opened. They opened up around here, came down, went up, and kind of zigzagged here. But what I was doing, I was watching the order flow here, especially in the MBox Delta, right? Um, if we zoom out here, right, the first thing that I wanted to show was, we have a lot of selling right here. If we compare it to the previous day, it's quite a bit, right? To me, that looked like substantial. And then when I saw all this selling right here in the MBox Delta, and then there's just a fail to follow through, right? First thing I see was, we have a supply drop right here, and then a supply exhaustion by the time we get here with a buy imbalance, right? So when I see supply drop right here, to me that's when like supply immediately backs off. You see, it went from heavy, less heavy to nothing, right? So that's what I see as the supply drop here. Okay, so that's this, and then the supply exhaustion. I see that here as that is prolonged. You know, right? So we had an immediate back off on the supply as soon as we came down here. Boom, nothing, and we can see that it is declining. So to me, that looks like exhaustion, right? Then I got in on this signal, right? So let me get that here. I got in on this pullback buy right here. So we had this nice signal, right? So as supply got exhausted, higher lows, we see demand come in right here, right? As supply is exhausting, demand is coming up here, and we're seeing that price is rising. So it's a classic case of switching from supply to demand. So that's what it looks like to me, like a textbook setup. MBox Delta shows demand. All right. Right here. All right. Looks like we're already over $2,000 in profits, so it's going in our direction. So I'm going to still be watching carefully what's going on here. What else did we see? We saw, a crossover right here from cumulative selling to buying, right? So we see a crossover from cum selling, cumulative selling to cumulative buying. Again, that's why I'm calling this like a textbook setup, because we're getting these crossovers here and here, and a classic entry on a pullback, right? We also seen that, the M pace we see is high here, since that's when the market's open. Usually, there's more volatility and things are moving faster. But by the time we take the trade, we are seeing that, the offers are outpacing the bids, right? The offers are outpacing the bids, Alright, so that is working for us. By the time I got on this pullback, right, we can also see a no supply here. Right here. No supply. Alright. Looks like we're making some correction here. Alright, and no supply here. Looks like we're getting more demand right here. More demand. Alright, so I'm seeing a lot of, like I say, confluence. I'm not done marking up the chart, but I want to see if maybe we'll get into another position here. So this plus 65, we're also seeing demand here, So we're seeing demand in the wave delta, right? So really what the strength of the setup is because we have this supply, and when compared to the previous day, it was strong. And then right away it drops, price springs up, and then we're seeing, the supply exhaustion. The MBox delta shows demand. Price is starting to rise. We're seeing a crossover from cumulative selling to cumulative buying. The offers are outpacing the bids, and we're getting this pullback here. I think I want to get in again. All right, I'm going to raise my stop here. Okay, I wanted to do an add-on. We had this an additional signal here, this Stooges buy right here. So now I'm in 2 positions, 20 contracts for me. Stooges buy. All right, everything is looking bullish to me. All right, so I'll go over my take profit. Right, so when I zoomed out, I didn't see much here, so I had to, I went to a 5-minute chart here, zoomed out, and I drew my. Maybe it's hard to see here. Right here, there is many levels of support. Let's see if I can actually get there so that I can explain it better. Right here, right? So I found this was last week. But this is where I found resistance, right? And it was tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So that's what I chose as my take profit. Right, so I had to actually zoom out a few days to see that. Sometimes you got to do that, but that's what made sense to me, right? I always like to use previous levels of support or resistance as take profit lines. And that gave me a decent risk to reward, so that's what I used. All right, so now we're just going to wait. We're over $5,000 in profits. So now we're just going to wait and see what happens. So I'll put the record on pause and come back when we see a little more. All right, so I just hit the profit right here at the profit line. I'm going to go over the order fills here in a second, but basically price continued to go up and it dangled right here. I was waiting for it to hit the profit there, but it just didn't. It made a small correction here and then we hit the profit line, right? So basically as it was going up, we see there were some counter trend trades here, right? These sell signals, but you wouldn't want to sell those because there's just no supply here, right? You don't see it in the MBox delta, you don't see it in the cumulative delta, so you know there isn't. They don't have the strength that these signals have, and I always say you want to look at the underlying analysis. The signals are your entry points, but to gauge their strength, you need to look at the underlying analysis, right? So we made over $12,000 in profit, so that's a great trading day for me. Happy about how that worked out. To recap, I got in on this entry on this pullback buy, and at the time this pullback buy happened, we had many points of confluence, right? We had the demand shown here, right? That's one. We had a supply drop, that's two. Supply exhaustion, that's three. MBox delta shows demand, that's four. We had the no supply here, that's five. We had this crossover, that's like 2 points because it's crossover from selling to buying, so that's like 6, 7. We've got offers outpacing the bids, that's like 8. We've got this entry on the pullback, that's 9, 9 points. And the thing is, when I zoom out here and I showed this selling right here, that it was heavy selling compared to the previous day. It was, and there's no follow through. And I guess that's equivalent to supply exhaustion, but you could say that that's 10 points. So we had a lot of points of confluence by the time we got in this trade. That made it a high probability trade. Then I did an add-on on the Stooges buy. So let's look at the order fills right here. So first position here, second position here, and wrote it out till here, right? So first position made over 7 grand, second position over 5 grand. So really happy with the trade today. The setup to me looked really strong, and so that'll be it for me today. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.